This stuff's getting out of hand. I was asked about this story, this huge news story that everybody's talking about now. How you had this white lady officially recognizing herself as black, and she was an NAACP president, and she had to resign over the outrage. The country is so pissed off. They have this white lady who is lying and identifies herself as a black woman, right? So first of all, we have a man, Bruce Jenner, changing into a woman. Now he wants to be called Caitlyn. First we have this story. Now we have this next big, huge story about a white person saying they're really black, or basically, long story short, you got two people identifying themselves as the opposite of what they are. And so to me, this really, and I'm not trying to steal anybody's theories or any credit or anything like that. You know, occult science talking about this, and I tell you what, this lends validity to the whole thing. As he said, that's what this whole story is representing. The ending of one age to another, the flipping of the poles, the negative to the positive, the man to the woman, because Saturn plays both aspects, male and female. This is all talking about the system, the age ending, and into another one, the transitioning from the poles flipping, the positive, the negative, the man to the woman, just this whole reset, basically, we got going on, a new age. And I tell you, this stuff's getting really crazy. These stories are just getting ridiculous. They're really trying like hell to push this agenda, and it just makes me wonder if that's what all this stuff with all these these are just a bunch of experiments as far as I'm concerned. It's to see where people are, because they're trying to fine tune us into a different reality. That's why you have that whole what color is this dress, where people around the whole world couldn't agree on what color some dress was a while ago. There was another thing where people couldn't agree on whether a cat was going up the stairs or down the stairs. That's a whole other thing. But I mean, with the whole cat and the stairs and all this kind of stuff. But there's a whole. It's like they're really trying to figure out. This is all experiments, seeing how people are accepting this whole transition to a new age. And so you have two people flipping, trying to be the opposite, which is exactly what we got going on now. This whole system is going to change into something completely different, and we're already living in a world where up is down and down is up, and everything is really backwards now. It's so twisted and messed up that this doesn't really have to stretch your imagination too far to figure out. To me, that's exactly what these guys are doing, pushing these bullshit stories. And what's interesting is that I really think that's why this 50 Shades of Grey and this rough and S&M sex that's mainstream now, because of this 50 Shades of Grey and all these other things, how it really caught fire and everybody's into it now. I really think that that's what that is for, because they need now. I mean, the sexual energy got us to where we are now, but to transition to this next system, to this other age, to flip the poles and really go to the female aspect, or the lady in red, the temptation, just the really negative, nasty part. I'm not saying all women. You understand the horror, temptation, the lady in red. To transition to that system must need a whole hell of a lot of different and darker sexual energy. It's all about sex with these guys. So if they're taking sex to a much more dark and perverted realm and ideal, then that tells me that's being used to transition the system from one, even though we're really, but really, I think we're going to find out that we've had it pretty good. That I think these next whatever years are going to be what people didn't even know was possible as far as the amount of suffering goes. And I'm not trying to scare anybody. If it scares you, then maybe you don't speak for everybody. You ever thought of that? When people come in here and say fearmonger, maybe you're the only person who's scared by this stuff. Maybe other people just simply see it as history, as the way things are, as cycles, as up and down, left and right, bottom top. These things happen whether you call them fear or you don't call them fear, or you don't even recognize them at all. They happen whether you want them to or not. You ever thought about that? And you want to know what's really funny? What's absolutely, screamingly hypocritical about this whole world? It's provable in these two stories. Here you go. Here's one person who says, I'm made one way, but I feel another. And the whole country, the whole world says, wow, what a brave person, what a hero. This lady comes out and says, I'm made one way, but I believe I feel like I'm another. And the whole world is pissed off and outraged, and she has to resign. It's the same story. There's no difference in these two stories. I mean, how hypocritical can you get? What a joke. So, big thanks as always to my subscribers and people out there who understand where I'm coming from.